Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be reacting to Ryan Russo's newest video where he talks about how MK-677 caused pectus carinatum. Now, for those of you who don't know what pectus carinatum is, it is a condition, a medical condition, where this bone on your chest sticks out. I have it. I have a very minor form of it, but I do have it. He is saying that taking MK-677 in large amounts over an extended period of time gave him pectus carinatum. Now, I think he's full of shit. I'm going to be completely honest. But let's get into the video.
You can get it surgically corrected, I believe. I will be working on posture control and I will be addressing it, but right now it is very pronounced and that is extremely unpleasing to the eye.
Now, a lot of what happens in this video, he talks about how pronounced his pectus carinatum is, or what he keeps calling GH bump. I think it's just insecurity, which, I don't blame him for. It's something he doesn't like about his body, but it's not as bad as he says it is. In fact, he'll show it later on in the video. It does not look very bad. Like, it's not. I can't even notice it. So he is minor.
What is up, everyone? It's Roos. I hope everyone is doing
minor.
well. ASMR sip today is some core power.
See, like, I'm already pissed off. What the fuck was that bullshit? It's like I've watched this video multiple times while doing research for this video. What kind of stroke did he just have? Apparently he does this shit at the beginning of every video. I don't know how this began. I don't know why he does it. It just makes me want to punch him in the face.
All right, today's topic, I'm going to be going into GH bump. So this is something that's I kind of see thrown around, but at this point in the game, I wanted to make a full topic video on it, especially with my personal abuse of MK-677, which is a growth hormone secretagogue. But I will be saying that anything in the GH pathway.
Are you a Roblox
Okay,
fanatic?
so
Microsoft
he mentions what he likes to call GH bump, and I believe that's what he's calling his pectus carinatum. But at multiple points in this video, he also talks about his stomach area, in which I don't think a lot of what he's talking about. Like, he definitely talks about how he has a bone in his chest extending downwards. But at some points in the video, it just sounds like he's talking about acromegaly, which can be caused by the use of growth hormone. It can make your hands, your extremities, and your organs larger than they're supposed to be. Sorry about that. Let me unmute the video.
GH pathway. So obviously regular GH, all the peptides, anything that's influencing IGF-1 upwards into the hyperplasia category, you should take into consideration that number one, I already talked about the face changes, but this time I'm going to be talking about what can be perceived as GH category abuse onset of pectus carinatum, aka bird chest, right? So I have what's called a GH bump. I don't know if you can see it on the video that well, but my chest has a protruding point that when I hit a front double, it's not only visually unesthetic, it feels abnormally enlarged. Now
I can't visibly see this in the video. I'm not saying he's lying. I'm sure he does have it, but I think he has had it his entire life and is probably just now noticing it. I do not think it is caused by MK-677. I have had it my whole life, and as somebody who has taken both MK-677 and my doctor prescribed growth hormone, I think he's full of shit. He talks about how he has abused MK-677 in very high doses. Now, I don't know what these very high doses he mentions are, but I personally have taken a lot of MK-677 because I use it. It's a ghrelin agonist, which means it makes you hungry. It gives you a better appetite, an unnatural appetite, and I personally struggle to eat. So I have taken up to 50 milligrams of MK-677 in one day, and not felt it, surprisingly, which is why I don't take it anymore, because I did not feel it. So he talks about this prolonged abuse of MK-677. I don't know what dosages he was taking, but 50 milligrams is a very high amount. If what he's saying were the case, my pectus carinatum would have gotten far worse.
Are things you can do to treat this. However, I do think with the younger generation dipping their toes into PEDs more recklessly, in my mind, like it's no longer the one guy in high school that all he does is lift weights like me, and like that. It's like everyone is doing it now. So at that point, you want to be talking about how it can grow your facial structure. You can judge it how you want on if it's more manly to have a blocky face or not. I don't know. It's up to you. But when you think of, okay, this is gonna fuck up my rib cage, to me, I think I can feel my bump down here. And when I go up and hit a front double at a lean weight, it just looks like there's a giant bump protruding out of my stomach. And that's from 677 slowly growing this downwards and outwards. Because I didn't really use that much GH stuff other than absolutely extreme amounts of 677, meaning 677 is not safe when it comes to modifying the structure of your face. And I'm talking about GH chest. Now, it's a good way to see if someone's on gear.
Okay, so he's saying whenever he hits his front double bicep, that his chest sticks out. Now, as you can see, mine does happen to stick out a small amount. Mine is very much not noticeable. I actually notice it more whenever I do I forgot what this is called, this pose, because if you can see these holes aside my abs, those are caused by the pectus carinatum. And I just don't think he knows what he's talking about. He mentions at one point in this video that he doesn't really like growth hormone producing drugs or IGF-1 drugs. And he's saying, or he's claiming at least, that the growth hormone produced by the MK-677 is what caused his chest bones to grow downwards. Now, MK-677 is a very terrible IGF-1 drug because it doesn't do a very good job at producing growth hormone. Which is why it's not advertised as some miracle drug, which is also why they don't give it to kids. Because don't you think if MK-677 was some miracle IGF-1 drug, don't you think they would give that to kids instead, so that kids aren't having to inject themselves with GH? MK-677 is a oral drug. They would way rather give that to kids. It's just not very effective at doing its job, and that's why it's not been blown out of the water.
Is to look at their stomach and see if they have a GH bump. If they do, then yeah, they probably have used excessive amounts of growth hormone. That was one of the reasons why I decided to use growth hormone later and later in my life, is because I just saw how pronounced it was my whole time, just reading through stuff and seeing what other people were doing. I just got to a point where I'm like, okay, like 677 seems to be more mild. And then I'm coming on here saying after my extreme abuse that, yeah, I for sure have a GH bump. If I would hit a front double, there would be this bump that you're probably looking at. You're probably not looking at my muscles. You probably look at my bump first, and that's nothing against my physique. That's just like how an eye would perceive on stage. It's not visually pleasing or aesthetic in my mind, actually the complete opposite. And I would be warning on the side of caution that this was years of me using 677 at crazy dosages, to a point where when my girlfriend lays on me, you know, she's like, what is this bump on your chest? And I have to be like, oh, well, that's from my, 677 abuse. I grew it downwards. It's still growing, right? Now, what can you do? You can get it surgically corrected, I believe, but you could buy a chest brace, and I could probably brace myself back down. As I build up my conventional deadlift volume back to where it was, I will be working on posture control and I will be addressing it. But right now, it is very pronounced, and that is extremely unpleasing to the eye. And it's one of those things where you have to worry about gyno, then you're gonna worry. It's like, it's always, you're worrying about all this shit where you're doing poly drug abuse with bodybuilding. But if you're educated on everything, you know how to pick it out and drop it out. So it wasn't always this bad. Actually, it didn't even really exist until I started going really hard with the 677 on top of adding in tons of food to gain weight. So for me to get bigger, everything had to grow anyways. I kind of just chalk it up as that. But when you're thinking of, okay, I'm a young person, you're like, is this what I'm going to do for the rest of my life? Like Russo likes going to the gym every day. Like I kind of just like it to maintain health and fitness, and I just want to go like 3-4 times a week. Then you probably don't want to be growing the structure of your body.
No, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He did say that he used extreme doses of MK-677 for years. I personally did not, but my pectus carinatum has not gotten any worse. In fact, it has gotten visibly better. Lifting and working out has made my pectus carinatum less visible. It has. It does not look as bad as it used to, and honestly, I think he's cutting himself short. Now, I don't know what he looks like without a shirt on, but I highly doubt people are busy staring at his chest, like busy staring at his pectus carinatum when he's flexing. It does not seem bad enough for it to even matter.
Abusing a massive amounts of 677, thinking it's completely safe, and or growth hormone, which is touted around as the fountain of youth, would probably do more, bone growth to weird bones that don't, fuse, right? I don't think the growth plate, I'm not a doctor, I don't think the growth plate on this is fused. It's just growing downwards and slightly outwards. And obviously I can work on my posture control, everything, but I do feel like at my level of severity, which I don't know if you can see, I don't know if my level of severity, like it definitely would be a chest brace for months, working on posture control after I built up the deadlift volume strength to hold my shoulders up correctly anyways all day. So that's a lot of work, and you could notice this very linearly, meaning you wouldn't be able to pick it out until it's pronounced. And once my girl said, what am I laying on? Why am I being pointed laying on your chest? Then I have to go into that. Then it's a problem where you're visually going to be looking at it all the time, and I would just know, well, okay, accepted that I abused growth hormone pathway stuff. Not every bone fuses. Some bones keep growing no matter what. I influenced my IGF, insulin-like growth factor ratio, way higher than it would sit naturally, and this is a side effect, and I could wear a chest brace for months and correct it for months. It's not like you wear a chest brace, 2 weeks, you're fixed. No, it's like, okay, now I'm doing breathing work, waist work. Now I'm doing posture correction control. And now I'm wearing a chest brace, all because I took a lot of MK-677 a couple years ago. And that is literally how it will go with some people if you're about correcting that. It's not an easy correction. I said with the gyno surgery, it was not easy. It was actually brutal, that gyno surgery. And you just have to be careful when you're going into these poly drug abuse setups, and you just are not calculating that, okay, the side effects will rear its head later. I feel great on it, sure. You're taking damage. You're taking fucking damage. And the chest bump, in my opinion, ruins my front double. If I recover my arms and everything correctly, and they're full and bubbly again, when I hit a front double in the mirror, will personally look at my chest bump first. That's nothing.
Now, I'm going to be completely honest. I think he's blowing this way out of the water. I have pectus carinatum. I have never worried about it. I've never been insecure about it in the slightest. When I look in the mirror and I flex, I do not even pay any mind to it. I think it's a bit of an odd insecurity. I don't think he has any reason to be worried about it. You can indeed fix the issue. If he really wants to go through all of the struggle to do so, then by all means, he should do that. I personally don't care. I don't think it affects the way my physique looks. It doesn't bother me. Now, I can sympathize with him. Like, I feel like to some extent he is right. Before you take performance enhancing drugs, you should always look at the side effects. I'm young. I personally have chosen not to for most of the time because I think it's dumb to make life-altering decisions when you're young. That being said, I have taken MK-677. My growth hormone is prescribed by the doctor, so that doesn't really count. But I have taken MK-677. I used it as a appetite stimulant because it is a ghrelin agonist. And I have had absolutely zero issues with it. It has had no negative side effects. My pectus carinatum has been apparent for far longer, like far before I started taking MK-677. And I used it as an appetite stimulant to get bigger, and the bigger I have gotten, the less noticeable my pectus carinatum has been. So I think it is a odd insecurity. That's just my opinion.
Against my physique, you know, I trained to be a weapon, but essentially if I was training on stage, I would look at the chest bump because I do that watching bodybuilding, being a fan of bodybuilding for an extremely long time. I always notice the GH bumps and that it can be corrected by intervention surgery, which I wouldn't recommend, and or chest bracing for extended long periods of time. I hope you guys learned something. I will see you guys in my next video.
Now, overall, I don't understand how he came to this conclusion. I don't know why exactly he believes that it was the MK-677, because it wasn't. I can almost guarantee you he has had this for his entire life and is just now noticing it. Pectus carinatum is, you can develop it over time, but it's typically something you're born with, and especially if MK-677 is the only IGF-1 drug that he was taking. Sorry. Even in extreme doses, I doubt he was producing enough growth hormone to have any issues. Now, at a lot of the times in this video when he's showing his chest bump, mine is up here, like in between my pecs. He's pointing down here almost, and he's using the term GH bump a lot, which it sounds to me, I'm gonna fix the camera really quick. It sounds to me, why is that falling? One moment. It sounds to me like he's referring to GH gut, or acromegaly, which, as I described earlier, taking growth hormone for extended periods of time can grow your hands and feet and can change your facial structure and can grow your organs. Now, he seems to be using the two terms interchangeably, which I don't really understand. But overall, as someone who takes growth hormone and has taken MK-677 in higher doses, I don't think that's what's causing his pectus carinatum, or even causing it to get worse. It's a possibility, but he definitely did not get pectus carinatum from MK-677. That doesn't even make any sense. So, those are my thoughts on the video. I'm not a doctor. He's clearly not a doctor. But I highly doubt that MK-677 is what caused his pectus carinatum. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye, guys.